601.
Let's go. So anyway, welcome to our Relay 101. Using Zoom, of course, it's 2022. Thanks to everyone for your time and for your interest in learning more about the Reno Tahoe Odyssey, which is the main event, as well as the Capital Odyssey and the Comstock Odyssey. It's a milestone year for the RTO since we haven't put it on since 2019, canceled due to COVID in 2020 and 2021. Thanks to so many of you for your patience. 90% of the teams, each of the 2 years in 2020 and 2021 deferred. And so we are excited to actually put this race on the beginning of June. My name is Eric LaRue, if you haven't met me, and I am the owner along with my wife, Stephanie. And we founded the race way back in 2005. And this will be the 16th running of the event. I also serve as the race director. And this event has been a passion of mine since 2 years before we started this race, and it's been a passion ever since. And so I think that one of the reasons it comes off so well is because Steph and I really care about the event. And we are joined by Kelly Corrigan, who also cares so much about the event. Kelly's official title is Director of Marketing, Runner and Sponsor Relations, and Virtual Events, because yes, we put on some virtual events in 2020. And we're going to add Chief Technical Officer.
Not quite.
Because you're a marvel at technical things as well. Anyway, Kelly does thousands of things to help with the RTO and all our other events to make sure they happen. And we couldn't put on our races and doing them so well without Kelly being so passionate and about the races. So Kelly, thank you.
You're welcome.
And behind the camera, we are joined by Sheena Britsky, who is another member of our Race 178 team, has helped us with our events over the years. She's our technical consultant. So Sheena, thanks for being here. I also want to acknowledge the Tahoe Permit Trail for their special role being involved in the RTO this year. So thanks to the Tahoe Permit Trail, who has been a nonprofit partner, nonprofit organization partnering with us since the very first year of the Reno Tahoe Odyssey. So during this live presentation, you may post questions in the chat box and we will try to respond during the presentation. We will allow you to raise your virtual hand for questions at the end. And if somehow we don't get your questions answered, you know where to reach us here at 331 East Liberty Street. Stop by, of course, you can email us, call. We will get back to you. We take pride in having great customer service. So we will get back to you and answer your questions before the event. We will also be posting this Relay 101. We're recording it and we'll be posting it, sending around a link. So if you want to watch it again, or if you missed it the first time, you want to tell somebody else about it, it'll be available. So stay tuned for that next week.
Or if you have runners on the team who haven't registered yet and don't know about this yet, let them know.
Yes, we have some of that going on, of course. So we are going to try to get through a bunch of information in as short a time period as possible, about a half hour. We're going to cover the following topics: the basics, the critical rules, a few thoughts about getting ready for the relays, some key tips to follow during the relays, some points about getting through the relay, and what's new in 2022, course changes, sponsors, swag. So having said all that, Kelly's going to take it over from here.
All right. So on the website under the planning tab, just so you know where you can find it, there's a tab called helpful information. So that's where you're going to find these 3 items: relay guidelines, tips to having a good time as opposed to having a bad time, and a checklist, which that list kind of ebbs and flows as we go along. I'm sure you will run into veteran runners who have their own checklists and everything, but those are some of the key things that we want you to be aware that you should probably bring. There's also, if there's any captains on the team or on this call, please check out the volunteer guideline and critical rules about the volunteer option. Or if you've got any friends, we are still looking for some volunteers to cover the different parts of the relay during the race. So love to have some new volunteers or some additional volunteers for that. And you can just reach out to Eric or Julie. And again, that contact information will be at the very end. The next is, and hopefully you guys are all aware of how the relay works. So 178 miles, and there's obviously most teams are 12-person teams and divided into 36 legs. There are also 2 other options besides the RTO that will happen while it's happening. So the Capital Odyssey are the last 12 legs. So that starts at Carson City, last 12 legs in. Those are teams of typically like 6 people or less. And the Comstock Odyssey, which starts in Virginia City. Those are the last 3 legs. So you'll see some, you may or may not see some additional people joining in. They'll probably smell better. They'll probably look a little fresher than you guys. But anyhow, so that's how that works. There's also map legs, which are on the website as well, in addition to this gigantic map of the course. So we do break it down so each person can take a look at what legs they're getting themselves into. So that is a place where you can go. It also has instructions for the team vans, as well as elevation increases or decreases. So that's what's on the leg map.
There's a few increases in case you didn't know.
Yeah. Anybody running whatever up to Virginia City, you've got a little elevation gain. Next is just some information, just kind of, again, very basic information, which I think you're probably all aware of, but just in case. Obviously, RTO, typically 12 runners. There are a few teams out there that are a little nuts. Heidi Parker, I saw you out there. I know that you are one that has an ultra team. That is a whole different beast. And EJ Maldonado was very kind several years ago to put together some tips for ultra teams, which is also up on the website. He's also a Circle of Fame member and everything, who's done all the different legs. So that's what there's little information on ultra teams, and we're happy to share contact information because every ultra team does have a different approach to how they do it. Back to the 12-person teams, each runner will have 3 legs. And as you can see, if you're runner 1, you're 1, 13, and 25. If you're runner 2, you do leg 2, 14, and 26, and so on and so forth. So some teams might have fewer runners, some, so that they divvy it up however they feel is appropriate. If they're going to have have fewer than 12 runners and they need to figure out how to do, you need to figure out how to do your legs. Hopefully you're all on full 12-person teams or full ultra teams. And just so you know, so when you're in the van, there's 2 vans, typically for a full 12-person team. Van 1 is the first 6 runners. Van 2 are the 7 through 12 runners. And just to give an example, we talk about the running van versus the resting van. The running van, so if van 1 starts the race with its first 6 runners, that is the running van. While that is happening, van 2 is the resting van, and they typically jump ahead to the exchange point. There are the exchange points where there's a actual van exchange. Those are much busier exchange points. So we're talking exchange point 6 at Boca, 12 at Homewood, 18 at South Lake Tahoe, 24 in South Carson City, and 13 in Virginia City. So there's a lot of activity at those. A lot more than the other exchange points. So anyhow, and then once van 1 is done and hands off, runner 6 hands off to runner 7, then van 2 becomes the running van and van 1 is the resting van, and they may hop ahead. Every team's going to have a different strategy when they sleep, how they sleep. Do they get a hotel room? Do they sleep in the van? Do they sleep?
We'll talk about that later.
Yep. So anyhow, and then Capital and Comstock, like I mentioned, those are 1 vehicle teams and typically 3 to 6 runners. We have had people do it with 2 runners and so on, but max 6 runners. So that's how those work. The next thing, this course information table is also on the website. This gives you a really good idea of how to break up the legs if you're a newer team or you're trying to fit runners in to the best legs that are suitable for them. E means easy, M is moderate, MD is not, go out and get a medical doctor, but it's most difficult. But then there is the most challenging, the MCs. So take a look at that. So again, it's a great tool to use to break up.
I think MD is more difficult.
More difficult. But
MC is the worst.
MC, yes. So that is the order. So what other teams might do with this is also, and there's some people going out there that are going for the Circle of Fame, which is if over the course of years you've run every single RTO leg. And we want to know that because we want to celebrate you, and we've got some special goodies for you too. So anyhow, great tool to figure out how to divvy up the legs and what they all look like. Next is tracking time. This year, we are not going to mandate using the time log. We are going to give every team the time log, encourage you to use it. You do not have to. However, the caveat is if you are one of the more competitive teams and you are going after one of the top placing teams in a division, you really need to fill out this time log and turn it in at the finish line. And
so if you're in it to win it, we need you to turn in the time log at the end, just in case there's an issue.
Yeah.
If you're not in it to win it, which most of the teams are not, then we won't need it at the end like we normally have. But hey, it's so much fun to fill out that form.
I know, it gives you something to do.
And clip it to a clipboard with a watch on it and hope the watch never stops. I mean, those are just good old times. But anyway,
okay,
not
that's
required.
Old school.
Very old school like me. But anyway.
Make sure you've got chargers and cell phones fully charged. I will give you a teaser. PK Electrical, one of our sponsors, may or may not have something for each band that relates to that little tidbit. Night gear. Night gear is critical. You need to be glowing. You need to be flashing. We need to see you. Your van needs to see you. Cars on the road need to see you. Everybody needs to see you. So
human Christmas trees.
Yes. We're talking vests, headlamps, blinking lights, everything. So just as a little, we'll just show and tell so you don't have to stare at the screen. So vests like this. So it's got flashing lights. It's Knox gear. It's got different color lights and it's got the reflective component. However, what you do need to do also is have some kind of flashy light on your front as well, and even more on your back if you want to add some or can add some, and obviously headlamp. So make sure you've got all of that because we are going to ask your captains to show us that at the packet pickup. So we need to know you guys are fully equipped, ready to go with all of your night gear so you can stay safe. We can make sure you're safe. Everyone else can keep you safe.
And we need to have you wearing those because we'll pull you off the course if you're not. So it's really critical. Safety is a critical component of the event.
Yep, absolutely. And so obviously there is more to this than just running. So we've got some fun contests. I know there's some teams. I don't know if there's any 520 team runners out there. They kind of have set the bar for some of these contests, the costumes and so on. So we do have a best team name, and we also have an award. And then we have a best decorated van, and we will ask you at the start line, let us know at the check-in tables, we've got a van, and we will make sure we go out and take a look at it, take pictures and so on. So for the contest, we have a best shirt. I typically try to walk around and get photos, but find me, Kelly, at the start line so I can take a picture and we can have documentation of it and everything. Sorry, gonna go back to hold that thought. Legs that you're running at night.
We'll get to that later.
Okay, we'll get back to that later. Thank you.
Finish your part.
So then other contests, most best costumes, most spirited teams, and let's see, most spirited volunteers.
Yes, we also have a most spirited exchange point contest. So our volunteers are having as much fun as the runners, and we encourage them to almost put on a little party at each one of their exchange points. Doesn't necessarily happen because the volunteers are also dealing with some other issues and it can be challenging, but you'll find some of the exchange points will be themed events, and so it just adds to the spirit of the whole
And then the last thing I want to just make, so you will get a chance to vote on the most spirited exchange point. The last thing I do want to mention, Downers Downfall. So if there's anyone out there who's doing leg 4, this is it. This is the biggie. This is the one the only leg that has a time trial. And we will be timing you from your personal start to your finish, as far as that specific leg goes. And then there will be an award for the fastest man, fastest woman, and 178th place. So if anyone can figure out how to get that 178th place, I'm impressed. So just be aware, and we will post those at the Finish Line Festival. We will have them on an old school board, and I will be seeking out your teams to find out who the leg 4 runner was, so we can acknowledge them. And that's that.
Yeah, so let's talk about some upcoming dates. We will be posting the start times in the runner's handbook next week, so stay tuned for that. By the way, spoiler alert, the runner's handbook, most of the information is already on the website, so we just repackage it in a little bit different format. There's nothing terribly new in there, but we just give it to you in a different format. So we'll be posting those start times, runner's handbook next week.
I'm gonna quick chime in here, Eric. Sorry, just so you're aware, in the runner's handbook, the leg maps will also be in there. So if you're printing that all out, they're in there as well. You don't have to print them out separately.
Yeah, again, everything on the pretty much on the website will be in the handbook. By now, all the local teams should have met their volunteer requirements, but some have not. So there's still time. There's still time. So if you haven't had your 2 volunteers register yet, if you're a full team on the RTO, please do that. And if not, pay the volunteer waiver fee. You can still do that. We are short volunteers, no surprise, but we've got some time to get those spots filled. So for those teams who haven't met the requirements yet, please do that in the next week. We appreciate that. There are 2 more practice runs, one on Saturday, May 7th for leg 7, and one on Sunday, May 15th for leg 30. So stay tuned for information on Facebook. Yep. for our Facebook page.
And on Instagram. Yep.
And as you see on this slide here, this is the race week schedule. So Thursday, June 2, that is when we have our team check-in. The location this year, we haven't talked about it yet because we just figured it out in the last month. But it's going to be at the Sands Regency in their new Arlington parking lot across the street from the Sands Regency Hotel Casino in downtown Reno. So it's very convenient for those of you who are staying at the Sands or who are staying at the Row. You can just walk right over. There's parking at different lots around there. So that's where that will be on June 2nd between 4:15 to 7:30. And then we do have a captain's meeting at 7:35. Which we would want one person from each team to stick around for that meeting. That's when we cover any last second course changes or last second announcements about the course or about the event. And a fun thing we do there is we acknowledge all our longtime runners, our Circle of Fame members, and we announce the winner of the best team name contest. So we will do that at the captain's meeting, which will go about a half hour. So you should, by soon after 8 o'clock, you'll be done and you can head off to get your good night of sleep. Friday, June 3rd, the race begins. The race start times will be between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. That's a 9-hour window. So it's a very active, fun scene at Wingfield Park in downtown Reno. So that will be happening there. We'll have have a few sponsors there, but for the most part, it's just the start line ceremony. It's a great kickoff to the event. Everybody takes off and everybody comes back the next day to Idlewild Park. Well, actually, I should mention, yes, the Capital Odyssey begins. We haven't set the times yet. It's going to be around 2:30, 3, 4 in the morning in Carson City on Saturday, June 4. And the Comstock will be starting somewhere 6 a.m., 7 a.m., depending on the projected times. That will be in Virginia City with the goal of getting everybody to the Finish Line Festival, which will be setting up around 8 o'clock. It'll be open from approximately 9:30ish all the way till the end of the day. We will have food there from Men Wheeling Fire and Buenos Grill. We'll be featuring Revision Brewing beers. They're our official beer. Again, there'll be other sponsors there. And there'll be other fun things going on there as well. So that's a great scene where you can sit around and celebrate your huge accomplishments, talking to your teammates, talking to other runners who you've made friends with over the prior 24 hours or so. And we do want all the teams to be in by 4 p.m. We'll talk more about that as we get closer to the event. We have ways to help you for those teams who are moving along slowly on Saturday. We have ways to get you to the finish line by 4 p.m. on Saturday, because this is not a 2-night relay and the race director team gets really cranky on the second night. We all want to be out of there by 6 p.m. So anyway, that's the race schedule. Again, all this will be in the handbook, so you don't have to take close notes here. Let's see. Is that me? Oh, I'm still going. Okay, so critical rules. There are some critical rules for us to be able to put on this event. And in 2 words, they deal with safety and they deal with respect. So the critical rules are listed, right? They're already listed. They've always been listed. They're on the website under the planning tab. We will repeat them again in the handbook. You'll see them. And between now and the race, we'll probably send them out just separately one more time, because we really need everybody to be paying attention. I won't go into any detail now because I won't spend that time. But let me just say, California State Route 89, which is legs 9 through 16. That is the most, probably our busiest road on the course. And we have a number of rules that address that section of the course. One of them has to do with needing to wear your safety vest regardless of the time of day or night. For safety vests, you need to wear them as long as you're running along legs 9 through 16 of the course, which is on basically from Truckee down the west shore of Lake Tahoe to South Lake Tahoe. So again, these are all spelled out in the critical rules list, which you already have access to. Let me mention one other one so there's no surprises, and that is runners cannot use headphones from legs 8 through 32. So that is just the way it is. We want you to be tuned in to all the sights and sounds of this event, so you are all the more alert. And so that's just the way it is. So please get used to not wearing your headphones if you're running legs 8 through 32. And if anyone associated with your team violates these rules, your team may be disqualified. And we really don't want to do that. This event's about fun, but there's also safety and respect rules that we need you to follow. So please pay close attention to those critical rules. And we will, I guess at this point, let me just, we had the question about which legs will be people running at night. It tends to be legs 13 through 24. That's really the middle section of the course. So from approximately Homewood on the west shore of Lake Tahoe to Carson City. Those tend to be the legs that are the nighttime legs. Now, depending on where you are in the event, nighttime may fall before you get to leg 13, or the sun may rise before you get to Carson City. It just really depends where you are. But those are the legs that typically are the nighttime legs.
All righty. Okay, this is a no-brainer, but I have to say it. For the love of God, please train. You don't put yourself in the situation that you are starting your training the day before the race, or you'll
have a lot more fun.
Please, yes, you'll have fun. Your teammates will have more fun. So please do some kind of training. It's best to train for the total length of your legs. So, most of them, are around, like a half marathon. So that's the kind of training you should do. And there's all kinds of training programs out there for that. And we can always help you, if you need help with those resources. It helps to do the routes that resemble your legs. So elevation gains, those kinds of things. It's best if you live around here, if you can get out and actually do some of your legs. You know, the practice runs are great. Even if you're not even running those legs, it gives you a feel for what the different legs could be like or are like. Be sure to do some kind of running at night so you know how your headlamp works, your flashy lights and everything. It's a whole different vibe when you are running in the dark. And I don't know, I personally like it because, you know, it's you and the road and maybe heavy breathers in front of you or behind you and stuff. So do that kind of thing. If you can, practice a few double days, practice a few days, a few trainings where you have 3 a days. Do that. Like I said, come to the practice runs. They're for everybody. We'd love to see you. We've had some great turnout. Bottom line is make sure you are ready physically, mentally, and everything else. And we're happy to help answer any questions for that kind of stuff.
Yes, you're going to have so much better of a time during the event if you can run the legs that are assigned to you. There's nothing worse than you being the one who's like, oh, I hurt my ankle or I pull a hamstring, and now your teammates are having to scramble to figure out how to fill your spot. So believe it or not, the nighttime leg people run is the one that's usually their favorite. And please do get out there and practice with all your gear. Don't wait until Friday, June 3rd to see if your lights are working on your headlamp.
Yep.
All right, so some other key tips during the relay. Can't stress this enough. Number 1, know your legs. So study the leg maps. As Kelly said, drive your legs if you can before, run your legs if you can. Some of you don't live in the area, so you don't have that option, but you can study your leg maps. And when it comes to race time, carry your leg maps with you and your phone. We do put signs out for left and right turns, but you can't rely on those because people like to mess with them, take them down, turn them upside down. And you might see them you may not see them anyway with all the adrenaline you're feeling. So just really, I can't tell you enough. My very first relay, I got lost on my first leg, and it was a real bummer. So know your legs. 2, be attentive and alert. Again, goes back to not wearing headphones on legs 8 through 32. Instead, be plugged into all the sounds and sights of the event, including bears growling and traffic honking and things like that. 3, stay in contact with your runner. We call it frequent interaction between the runner and the running van. Now, the running van can't literally drive right next to the runner because that causes traffic problems, but the running van can drive up and pull into a safe parking spot and let the runner go by and just keep leapfrogging. Part of the fun of this event is the leapfrogging and staying in touch with your runner, being at the key turns. That's perfectly fine for the running van to make sure in case that runner has serious problems with the geography and sense of direction. That does happen. So there's ways to frequently interact with your runner so that your runner feels comfortable, they know where they are, and they're staying on the course. That makes it all the more fun.
And Eric, I'm going to chime in on that point, the stay in contact. Having been on a team where we did lose a runner, but we didn't really lose a runner. They were too fast and we couldn't get to the next exchange quickly enough. Make sure you always have a plan so that you know, like, are we waiting? Is the runner waiting or is the runner not waiting? So just have a plan and have ways to connect with each other and reach out, and so you know how to get a hold of each other and tell them where you are. So
runner, have your cell phone. Let's see, some of these are relatively self-explanatory. When we say on number 4, drive ahead, when you finish as the running van, you shouldn't hang out there for a long time. Drive the 6 legs ahead and be ready somewhere near the next van exchange point where you will become the running van again. It's better to hang out there than 6 legs behind and then find out you aren't going to get to the next van exchange point in time. 5, I do want to talk about this one. Be really nice to the volunteers. I cannot stress it enough. We can't put on an event like this without a number of volunteers. We have fabulous volunteers from many sources. Many of you are providing volunteers. We appreciate that. Tahoe Permit Trail will be providing volunteers. Northern Nevada Children's Cancer Foundation will be providing volunteers. Project Hero in Reno will be providing volunteers. Many other nonprofit organizations we'll be providing volunteers. We do provide a portion of the race proceeds to these nonprofit organizations. So please be nice to the volunteers. It's not the easiest job, especially at the nighttime exchange points. We call them we call those the slumber party exchange points, where it's a little bit more challenging. So whenever you can, just say, hey, thanks for your help putting on the event.
I like the vampire.
That's the word. We haven't done this in 3 years.
My
Thank you.
God.
The vampire exchange points. We haven't done a relay 1-on-1 since 2019. Okay.
What are we doing?
Yes. Of course, there's some other things here. Don't be ashamed to power walk up a steep hill. You don't need to run every one of these steep sections. Of course, power walking is a perfectly fine strategy to get up a steep section. We do have restrictions on how long your vehicles can be. And I recommend having a handbook, printing out a hard copy. You have to do this for yourselves. Having one in each van is not required, but sometimes if you don't have if you're having trouble bringing up the whole handbook on your phone, it may not, it's just helpful to have the handbook literally in your car so you can look at it.
And I'm going to piggyback on a question, or also respond to a question that we received with the whole know your legs. And that's, do we always run against traffic? So if you look at the leg maps will tell you, because in a lot of cases you are running against traffic, but there might be in certain situations where you are not.
There are plenty where you are not.
Yes.
There are plenty of legs where you are running with traffic because of where the exchange points are. We have permission from the authorities for that. And most of California State Route 89 is running with traffic. So, yes, you need to know your legs, make sure you're on the right side of the street.
So yeah, so on the leg maps, it actually says, it will tell you what side of where you should be running specifically.
If you have any questions between now and then, please email me.
Yeah.
Our last cardinal supreme top rule is, let's see, technology. There it is. No whining. This is a 24-hour relay on a 170-mile course. You're going to be running through the night. You're going to get lost at times. You're not going to see where your teammates are. There's going to be things that happen. It adds to the experience. And, this isn't a 5K through Idlewild Park or in your local, park. So be ready for adventure. The event is called the Relay Run Adventure because there's going to be plenty of adventure, and it makes for all the better the stories and the celebration of your accomplishment at the finish line.
All right, we are getting there. So surviving the relay, we don't know what the weather is going to be like yet, but be aware what the weather is going to be like,
Hopefully
because
not too hot.
You are going to need to make, in some cases, some years we've had to make sure we've stayed warm and dry. And that includes what how you pack and what kind of clothes you take and everything. And then also dynamic warm-ups before you run are great. After you're done running, it's really tough to jump right back into the van. If you do and you don't do some kind of cool down or stretch, you may never get out of the van, and you're going to get out of it in the same place, same seated position. So do some warm-ups, do some stretching after as well. Especially after your second and third legs, you're going to feel it, and but enjoy those miles, enjoy the time and everything, but do some stretching and everything. Let's see, don't overuse pain medication. Obviously, doesn't always mix well with running. Be smart. Food and nutrition. We are not dietitians or nutritionists, but we've run these relays before. You figure out what works for you. I would just say keep it simple. Pack sandwiches, energy bars, bagels, rice cakes. I don't know if you really want a burrito right away after your first leg, that kind of thing. Kind of know what your system can handle. Before you run, though, basics are eat carbs. After your run, do some protein. That's when peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, bananas, chocolate milk are all great recovery kind of things. Definitely drink a lot of water. That is for sure. At some point, you might want to be tempted for Bloody Marys up in Virginia City. I would say if you're van two, don't do it. Just be smart. And again, everybody has got different things that work well for them. Everybody has different lists over the years that have done these relays. We're happy to share additional information. I would just say don't overdo it. Don't go pound down a massive steak after your first leg kind of thing. Just be kind of smart there.
If you have any questions, yeah, email us. Everybody does it differently. Just stay with what's comfortable and familiar for yourself. Some teams have a big ice chest in the back of their vans, and it's like a mobile 7-Eleven. They've got everything in there. And they share. Some teams, everybody has their own little container of food because they know, each person knows what he or she likes. So everybody does it differently. So that's something you should be discussing at your team meetings.
Yes, absolutely.
And at your practice running with your teams.
Yeah, who's putting what and who's providing what in each van, and so on. So yes.
Don't wait till Friday, June 3rd, that morning as you're racing to the start line to figure out what you're bringing in your van.
Yeah. Definitely do not skimp on the water though, for sure. And like Eric said, please email us if you want tips or questions. If you are all rookies and that kind of thing, we are more than happy to share our experiences, what other people have done, and so on. So do not hesitate to ask. We want you to be safe out there. We want you to be as prepared as possible.
Okay, so we're almost done here. What's new in 2022, other than all of us being back to running, which is awesome. So the course, all right, the course, as of right now, I'm knocking on wood, which is my head. It's the same as what we were preparing to do in 2020. So all the leg maps are current on the website right now. We'll be putting those in the handbook next week. So anyway, take a look at those leg maps. Back in 2019, we did make changes to legs 7 and 26 and 27. And in 2020, we changed leg 34, which is going through South Reno through the new subdivision by DeMonte Ranch High School. So we made a change to that. That was all ready for 2020. Then we couldn't put on the event. So anyway, those leg maps right now are current. If anything changes, we'll get the word out to you as quickly as possible, but hopefully there won't be any changes. Sponsors, we just want to real quick acknowledge all of our sponsors. Dolan Auto Group was a new sponsor in 2019, and they came up with this great idea, the Reno Taco Odyssey party at Exchange Point 6 at the Tahoe Forest Church. Well, good news, Dolan Auto Group is back, and so is Reno Taco Odyssey at Exchange Point 6. So that will be happening. Revision Brewing is a new sponsor this year. They are a new official beer of the Reno Tahoe Odyssey. Everyone who is of age, of course, will be getting a complimentary beer at the finish line. There'll be more beers for purchase, but thank you to Revision. Sierra IV Hydration is a new sponsor who will be at the start, Virginia City, and the finish. They're going to be providing something to do with what their business does. We're not ready right now to tell you, so stay tuned for more details about what they'll be offering. We want to acknowledge the rest of our terrific sponsors real quick. PK Electrical, Ide Bailey, Reno Running Company, Rowdy Bar, Bradley Drendel and Janae, Granite Construction, Homeland Mountain Resort, Hometown Health, News 4 and Fox 11, Full Pedal, Lululemon, Allstate, ChiroFit, Pinecone Physio, Griffles Biomat USA, Tahoe Forest Church, Interstate U Store, Delta Saloon, the Town of Genoa, the RCVA. I can keep going, but I'll just stop there. We've got a great list of sponsors. We appreciate all their support. It's going to make the event all the more enjoyable for you with some of the cool stuff they're doing. And so thanks to our sponsors.
Yep. It's awesome. They're great. We're excited that a lot are back and a lot are new. We know it's been a challenging time, so exciting stuff. So swag, we've got some new stuff. Well, we have 2 new versions of big truck hats that will be available. We are going to have a new quarter zip and a new hoodie, both men's and women's sizes on the quarter zip and the hoodie. So look for those. Also, a lot of you have already replied, and because you've gotten the email about this, the 5, 10, and 15-year anniversary kind of sticker patch. it's kind of a cross between the two. If you have not, I mean, I'm going to be running reports and looking at what you entered into the database when you registered, like what year you're on, to have as comprehensive a list as possible. But it would be great if you could just email me and say, hey, I'm on year 11 and I didn't get my 5-year and I need my 10-year. Please email me and let me know, and I'll make sure you're on your list. You'll pick those up at the Finish Line Festival at one of our tables. So that's awesome. You should celebrate yourself. It's, you know, it's incredible. And we love you for that. Circle of Fame, if some of you haven't heard of that, again, that is when you have completed all 36 legs.
Now, not in 1 year.
Yeah, not in 1 year.
That was one who did it in 1 year, but otherwise.
Yeah. So we've got a number of people who are already in it, and the numbers are growing each year now as we go on. And if you're on an ultra team, you kind of pick those legs off faster, more quickly than others. But if this is going to be your Circle of Fame year where you will finish, Heidi Parker, I know you're out there again. She is a frequent flyer with us. She will be celebrating her Circle of Fame. She will finish leg 4. So anyhow, if anybody else is out there that's reaching that, then please, again, email me and let me know. Or if you know, have a teammate that hasn't reached out, you know, nudge them to let me know, because that is a huge accomplishment, and we're super proud of you. And anyhow,
we want to celebrate it. We have some swag
stuff,
to do it.
So
but we need to know we need to be ready.
Yep, absolutely. And then the last but not least, we have used the Race Joy app in the past. Again, it is just for fun. It is coming back for this year, and we will be sending out instructions on how to access that, how to use that. But basically, that is a fun way that you or friend, you can track yourself and your legs during the race, but also spectators. If you have family and friends who want to follow your team along the course, they can do that. They can actually send you cheers. So there'll be information coming out on that. And just a side note, the only people that are receiving our communications are people who've registered for the race. So if you have teammates who would not say, I'm not getting anything, ask them if they've actually registered for the race, because that's the only way we would know to send them communications. So they will get all of this great information we've just talked about if they are a registered runner. So please tell them to get going on the registration.
Yeah, the Race Joy app, basically, it provides an electronic leaderboard, so you can, you could be tracking it. You could be tracking your team's progress. You could be tracking your competition's progress,
yep,
or lack thereof.
Or your friends'
friends, family, and others can be at home tracking where your team is.
Yep.
But it is dependent on people participating. It's not automatic. I mean, you have to engage. You have to sign up and engage in it.
Yep.
So we don't do that for you. It's an entertainment only thing that you need to do for yourself. If people don't participate, then there's not as much going on it. So we hope you all use this app because it just adds to more fun.
Yep, it is. It's voluntary. So anyhow, more to come on that. So basically that's it for what we have.
That's it for now. We could talk forever.
I know, it's so much fun. We're so excited, by the way. If you can't tell, we can't wait to see all of you.
We've been stuck in this office for 3 years. They're going to let us out.
Sick of Eric. Anyhow, this is going to be the most fun you ever have running, and then some. Giant adult slumber party, Burning Man on wheels or on legs. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Beta breakers, but no naked people, hopefully.
Yep. So anyhow, we've been around a long time. We are in a super established relay.
We're one of the oldest ones around. This will be our 16th running of it. And anyway. Yep.
So our contact information is here. We keep referring to, email us. Here's our email addresses if you don't have them. Volunteer questions can go to Julie, and Julie's email is on here as well. We want you to have fun. We want you to be safe. We're so happy to be back, and we appreciate you guys joining us, and we cannot wait to see you guys at the start line. So if there's any other questions that
yes, are there any other questions?
Looks like we have them all, but again, let us know. Thank you for being here. Again, we appreciate your support and participation.
And we will see you in, we'll see you soon. We'll see you in May.
little
So
over-
hopefully, a practice run. Get out there and practice, please.
Yes.
Run.
Yes.
And if not, we'll see you at Packet Pickup.
Yep.
And we'll see you at the start line.
A
So,
little over 30 days, you
but
guys.
in the meantime, please email us, contact us if you have questions.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in tonight. This will be recorded so you can watch it you can watch it multiple times tonight if you're really bored or you wake up in the middle of the night. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks, you guys. See you soon.
Good night from Race 178 headquarters.